this is, yeah, so this is a very, very important chapter. Personally, this chapter in Tanya, chapter 30, is very much a lesson to what is Hasidus in general, and to the reality of the Torah. There is first of all, it's this chapter, and not for several reasons. First of all, it's the reality of the Torah, to show how the Torah is real. Now, what do I mean when I say how is the Torah real? We are in the month of Kislev, and in the month of Kislev, this is the Hasidic month, because we have Yud Tes Kislev, the Rosh Hashanah of Hasidus. We've got Tes Kislev, we've got Yud Kislev, we've got Dalet Kislev, we've got Rosh Chodesh Kislev, which is today, celebrating the Rebbe's complete recovery from the heart attack that the Rebbe had in 1977. Tafshin Lamed Ches. And what happened is so for several reasons, sorry for the interruption, let's restart. This is a very important chapter in Tanya, because it's not only a chapter in Tanya, this is a chapter in life. For several reasons. First of all, it's going to explain to us a very important Mishnah. Not only an important Mishnah, but also an important lesson about the way that we approach the Torah, the reality of Torah. Is Torah something real, or is Torah more of a theoretical, theological theory slash religion? Or is Torah practical and real? Welcome, Harry. And this is what we have to find out. You can see it first of all when it comes to special Bruchim Habayim. Welcome to Harry. Thank you for joining. Yeshar Koach. We just started the month of Kislev. The month of Kislev is a month of miracles. First of all, starting from Chanukah, right? Chanukah, Chafei Kislev, that is the biggest miracle. Yud Tes Kislev is also a miracle. The idea of Hasidus is also a miracle. And Bezrat Hashem, we should merit miracles this month with the release of all the hostages and the success of Am Yisrael and the IDF. That's the most important thing. And the question is, what did Hasidus introduce and bring to the world? This is a movement that started over 200 years ago, 250 years ago. What is the real change that it made? Starting from the days of the Baal Shem Tov, the Magid Mimezrich, the Alter Rebbe, Hasidus Chabad, what is the change that Hasidus made? And if we can, there are quite a few things that they perhaps improved, changed, developed in the Torah. One specific thing is the idea of the fact that the Torah is real. And therefore, when we read a quote from the Torah, from the Gemara, from the Mishnah, we cannot tell ourselves that is a story that happened a long time ago. That is something that doesn't really mean that I have to practically go and follow that advice. The rabbis, when they spoke about that, they were speaking to their generation. They were speaking in theory. That was some kind of theology. Torah comes from the word Hora'ah. What does it mean, Torah?
Instruction.
Oh, it's more instructions than teachings. Teachings are theory, theology, philosophy. Torah, the Zohar says, Torah is connected. Ani moreh, milshon moreh lecha. Moreh could be teaching, and moreh could be instructing. Right? And a better educator is an educator that has a practical influence on the student. So that is one side to chapter 30. There's another side to chapter 30, and that is solving an ongoing competition that we might have. Solving a competition that we have. This, like a football game, but that is happening within yourself.
Conflict, internal conflict.
in peaceful ways. And what is this conflict? We're going to soon see it in the letters of the Alter Rebbe, but this can cause us to be miserable, to be upset with our status in life, and this is the conflict that is going on. We might think that the conflict is between us and the surroundings, and we can feel very upset and very miserable about where we are holding in life. Why am I not Elon Musk? Why am I not at least Bill Gates? Why am I not like my neighbor? Why don't I have 2 cars? Why don't I sit and learn Torah all day? And this is something that can cause us misery, and it can cause us to feel upset about ourselves. And that's so bad, because the moment we tag ourselves with some kind of label, especially a negative label, especially a label that underrates who we really are, that leads to a bad feeling constantly, all the time. Yes. But the question is, who is this enemy? Is this enemy, and by the way, this has to do with also our parsha, right? The parshas Ve'ele Tolas Yitzchak ben Avram, Avram Holedes Yitzchak. We know that there's an ongoing fight within, between Yaakov and Esav, and Rivka doesn't know about it initially, but then she goes to Shem, and Shem tells her all about that fight. But we're going to understand the conflict that we have, that the main goal of the Alter Rebbe is to show us how it has nothing to do with us comparing ourselves to someone else, but it's a different style of conflict altogether. Let's read a bit inside, and we'll start getting into things, because this is a very, very moving and important chapter in Tanya. Mordechai, would you like to start for us, please, the first paragraph here? This also a person.
This also a person must resolve in his heart, to fulfill the instruction of our rabbis of blessed memory, and be humble of spirit before all men. This you must be in true sincerity, in the presence of any individual, even in the presence of the most worthless of worthless men. This accords with the instruction of our sages. Judge not thy fellow until thou art come to his place, for it is his place that causes him to sin, because his livelihood requires him to go to the market for the whole day, and to be one of those who sit at the street corners, where his eyes behold all of the temptations. The eye sees and the eye desires, and his evil nature is kindled like a baker's red-hot oven, as is written in Hosea, it burneth as a flaming fire.
Yafé מאוד. Thank you. So it says, and this is from Ethics of Our Fathers, Havei shfal ruach bifnei kol ha'adam, which means that Ethics of Our Fathers is telling us an ethical way to behave, which means be humble in front of every person. And here is the question. How is this a realistic request? How is this a realistic demand? Havei shfal ruach bifnei kol ha'adam, right? I should feel humble in front of any person outside. But let's speak reality, okay? I know the person outside that I come across, his life isn't so great. He's not a big tzaddik. He doesn't sit and learn. He doesn't daven. He doesn't do many good activities in his day. So why should I feel humble in front of that person?
If he was in his shoes.
Okay, so this is where we're getting to.
What does it mean to feel humble?
To feel, okay, this is what is the whole idea of humility? Yeah, we will speak about it. But in the basic idea, let's start from just the basic idea, is that don't feel that you are better than him. Feeling humble is that I'm not better than him, he is better than me. So we can apply it to both. First of all, Avodas Hashem, but not only Avodas Hashem, right? So in Avodas Hashem, first of all, it says, yes, a rabbi, the biggest rabbi, should be humble in front of a kal shebakalim, in front of a person that is a simple person and doesn't use his day for holiness. And not only that, but also in physical ways as well. Feel humble in front of any person, right? Even if you're successful and you have 5 different businesses and you can run them all by yourself, and there you go across, you come across an individual on the street that barely has money for the month.
Does the Tanya no longer speak about Avodas Hashem?
You're right. So this is mainly Avodas Hashem, but we can apply, because we can apply it to everything in life. And we will see why it is important to apply it in everything in life. So, how is this real? Yes, Yaakov?
No, I'm just thinking of an expression, there but to the grace of God go I. Which I don't think is a Jewish expression, but
what's the expression as well?
There but for the grace of God go I. In other words, I could be in his place.
Right.
So,
right. And this is here, right? Being in this place, yes, Ovadia.
When someone says, like, how's everything going? Oh, I'm blessed. Great marriage, wonderful.
Right.
Food.
Right.
That never struck me as humble.
That's not humble. That seems not humble, right?
Like, why are you blessed?
Right.
You to be blessed.
Right. Even though he, yeah. Oh, so is everybody blessed? What is the meaning that everybody's blessed, right?
But that talks about a state of mind, that a person has gratitude for the things that he considers good. That's a very good thing to say.
The question is how he says it. The question is how does he say it. Sometimes the way that they say it is it's not really that I'm blessed, which means I have to say that I'm blessed, but I'm really so happy about my status in life. So we'll speak about all of these things, connecting mainly God to our personal life. But let me tell you about the ways that rabbis, or I cannot say rabbis, but some people in the frum world might explain this expression that you should be humble in front of everyone else, right? So there is a difference between behavior and reality. A person can behave in a way that is not truly aligned with, that he does not truly understand, that he does not truly accept, because behavior is something external. So it could be that there was a big, what was called in those days, before Hasidus, there was what in the town there was known to always be a parush. What was a parush? Parush was the holy man in the town. He was a person that sat all day, learned Torah, did not take his nose out of the shul, and they used to bring him his food to shul, and it was a great honor to respect him, and everyone would respect him. And that person, when he read Hevesh Fal Ruach Bifnei Kol Hadam, so he knows that his mission is now to tell the world that he is humble. So what would he go? The Hasidus tells a story that when they used to go to the mikveh, right? So the parush, he wanted to be humble. It says Hevesh Fal Ruach Bifnei Kol Adam. And he wants to be humble. He wants to be an anav. He wants to be like Moses, like Moshe Rabbeinu himself. So he would offer his services there to help the people in the mikveh, in the sauna, to hit them right a bit. So that's what they used to do in the sauna. You get a bit of a few malchus, and the whole experience is better. So he offered his services to go and to. But everyone said, no, chas v'shalom, no, you the parush, I'm never going to use you for such a thing. Never. And that was the parush, that's what he used to do one day. And one day a chassid walks into town, and when the parush comes over and the parush says, can I hit you on the back in the sauna? So he says, the chassid says, of course, why not? And the parush was so shocked that this is the difference between behavior and reality. behavior, you can behave humbly. But it doesn't really mean that you feel humble. So here, the emphasis of the Alter Rebbe is mamash. Veheve be'emes la'amitoi. Truly, why is the Alter Rebbe using these terms of emes? We can see it here in the translation. And be humble of the spirit before all men. This you must be in true sincerity. True sincerity, it means it's something real. How can I really be humble? I'm much greater than him. So here the Alter Rebbe introduces us to another saying of Chazal, and this is also from Ethics of Our Fathers. Al tadun et chavercha ad shetagia limkomo. Don't judge someone else until you are in his place. Why shouldn't we judge other people? If I see someone that is not behaving the way that I would expect him, I would judge him. Yes, you shouldn't do that. So there's the simple translation, and there's the way that the Alter Rebbe explains it.
The person you saw that was not davening all day, how do you know he's not talking to God all day? You don't know.
So that's true. That could be that. And in many cases, they were known to be tzaddikim nistarim, which, yes, until the last days, and even after that, no one knew that they're righteous people. So that is one way of also... This is also more a style of Hanagat reality, but bottom line, it comes to the question when a person asks himself before he goes to bed, between you and me, and he's talking to himself, am I better than that person? In many cases, the answer would be frankly yes. I don't believe it that he's actually talking to God when he's mumbling things on the street. And we want to make Judaism real, even if we know 100% the behavior of that person, and we know that it's not a good behavior. And this is where the Alter Rebbe introduces to us the Drash of Razal, Ad ta'amin b'chavercha ad shetagia le'makoymai, which means don't judge your friend until you are in his position. But the Alter Rebbe explains it beautifully. The Alter Rebbe says that it's not only that you cannot judge someone until you are in until you go under the same stress that he goes, or something like that. But the Alter Rebbe, that's the same point, but the Alter Rebbe explains it more. The Alter Rebbe says each one is born with a set of tools. And a set of tools. Tools, yeah. Or a nature. Or traits and qualities that he acts according to them. And that is his mission in life. That is his mission in life. That's what he carries. That's how he reacts. That's how he behaves. So therefore, could very much be that if he would have my set of tools, he would do much better. He would be much more successful. He would devote his life much more to Torah and mitzvahs. He would daven more. He would do many more mitzvahs. So for that reason, I cannot judge him. And it also goes to explain, even if I know of a person that's a sinner, and I'm 100% sure he's a sinner, he's not mumbling Tehillim in the street. He is guaranteed to be a sinner. I've seen it in my eyes. Perhaps that is because his Yetzer Hara, his evil inclination, is much higher than yours. Much stronger than yours. Kol hagadol mechavero yitzro gadol mimenu. Which means, however the greater the person is, he's also got a greater Yetzer Hara. That shows us that it's not one Yetzer Hara. There are many, many Yetzer Haras. There's a Yetzer Hara that desires this, and there's a Yetzer Hara that desires that. And I could never understand, why would there be such a Yetzer Hara? Why does this person, you never see him at Shachris? He always comes 12 o'clock to daven in shul. Come on, can't you wake up on time? Don't judge him. You might not know of such a Yetzer Hara, but perhaps that is his Yetzer Hara.
How come that different people have different Yetzer Haras?
Why did Hashem create it in that way?
It's like when they were born, that's already...
Yes.
Why? Why is it?
It's connected also to the nature of the person. There are different natures. There are people that have a colder, cooler nature, and there are people that are more revved up. They've got a hotter temper, etc. So, according to that nature, the Yetzer Hara likes to lean in at the weak points of a person.
So it's not the Yetzer Hara, it's like the nature of the person.
And there's also the Yetzer Hara himself. Yetzer Hara, after all, he sees the situation, he acts according to the situation, according to the scene that he is in. But also the Yetzer Hara, there are different types of Yetzer Haras. So, because Hashem wants to challenge us, because we have a mission to chase away the Yetzer Hara. So let's say in previous lifetimes, we chased away the Yetzer Hara that prevents us from studying Torah. So Hashem says, okay, you beat that Yetzer Hara, but let's see you beat a different type of Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara, whatever, not davening. Right? So that's what we give it a different Yetzer Hara. Sorry? Yes.
Give you this, Yetzer Hara, the cocker, and you did that, good job. Now here's the next one.
Here's the next one. Okay, right, 100%, very good. Because that is our mission, to fix our nefesh, to fix ourselves, to fix the world around us, and we do it in many ways. And each way there's a Yetzer Hara that's interfering.
But then every person should have like a different Yetzer Hara, but still a high Yetzer Hara. But what it says here is that some people have like a low Yetzer Hara.
It's
in that area.
Right. So sometimes it's not really low. Sometimes it's not low Yetzer Hara. The area is low. There's a difference between a person that has what's called a cold Yetzer Hara to a person that has a hot Yetzer Hara. A cold Yetzer Hara means it's a person that is very, what would be the word, indifferent. Very indifferent. He wouldn't get excited during time. He's very cold, very stiff, very logical. He doesn't have the chayus. So his Yetzer Hara is, they told him a miracle about the soldiers that thing. So he says it's not a miracle. They just whatever, They tell him, this family in Rishon LeZion, they never really leave the house. They don't go into the shelter. And then once they decided to go in the shelter, and that time the house, a rocket hit the house. So the cold person would say, well, coincidence, probably they were out. That's one, and we're not saying that it's a weaker Yetzer. It's a strong Yetzer Hara, but it doesn't seem to us like it's overavoid terrible. On the other hand, when a person has a Yetzer Hara full of fire, full of ta'avot, full of gashmius, materialism, there it's clear to see that that's a bad Yetzer Hara. So I cannot go and judge that person because he's got a different type of Yetzer Hara. And even within the Yetzer Haras themselves, there are certain rates, there are certain levels. That's why we cannot judge anyone. And this also solves a problem that I'm not in competition with anyone else. Because perhaps these are why am I not already at the age of 12 years old, why am I not a lawyer? Is that a realistic thought? No. Did that bother a kid that's 12 years old? Most kids know, and the kids that it does bother them, they have to go for treatment. And why is that? Because you have to know your set of tools, you have to know your koiches that Hashem gave you, your challenges, and don't compare yourself to what does not belong to you, to someone else. You've got to compare yourself to your qualities, to what you do have an ability to achieve. That is the real competition here. Competition is not between me and my neighbor, right? The fact that he is very successful does not apply to me at all. It doesn't mean that I'm less successful. Everyone has a scale, and the scale is your potential. And the question is, how much do you fill out of that scale of your potential? So it can give us a sense of relief that yes, I don't have to become the President of the United States. Why not? It bothers me. Why shouldn't I become, I want to become the President. I wasn't born in the United States, which means that's clearly not part of that scale. I have no chance to becoming the President of the United States. Better not to think of it. Better not to be jealous of the President of the United States. But then on the other hand, if I do know that I have a potential for something and I'm not fulfilling it, that's very demanding. And this is a very important thing to know. So how do I know what is part of my potential and what is not? Maybe I can become a professor in the Hebrew University. Who said that I can't? So a person has to ask himself seriously, and it could take some time. What am I good at? What do I like doing? What do I have a talent to do? Everyone has a talent for something. Use that talent. Improve in that field. Practice that field. That is how I know what I have a connection to in the world and what I should be putting a focus on. The moment you put a focus on something that is not part of that scale, which means your potential, so in that case, you are pressing the full gas, pressing the gas, and you are neutral. It's leading you to nowhere. So this is basically what the Alter Rebbe is teaching us over here. This is a powerful, powerful message.
So, if somebody wants to be a great man,
Yes.
you're a boy, young fella,
Right.
and he knows he feels he hasn't got the potential, in a way, the ability to be great. Something's lacking there.
Right.
But then he can mitigate the situation by doing something great in his own capacity.
Yeah.
That's also...
That is great. So what you should ask that child is, you should say, how can you define, what would you define great? What is greatness? So again, if his potential, if he doesn't speak Japanese, so he's never going to become great in Japan.
Well, great is if your name is spread all over the world.
That's one way of defining it. But a person can be great in his home. What about that?
Correct.
You know, when Hashem says to Avram Avinu in the Parsha, not to Avram, to Adam, Ayeka, where are you? So all the commenters ask, Hashem did not know where Adam is. Hashem knows everything. Why is he saying, Ayeka, where are you? Now this question was asked by a Russian minister to the Alter Rebbe. When the Alter Rebbe was in prison, so there was a minister that was very knowledgeable about the Torah, and he asked the Alter Rebbe this question. And the Alter Rebbe told him, you know what the answer is? A person of this and this age. And he named the age of that minister. When he reaches a certain stage in life and he asks himself, what did he accomplish in life? That is Hashem's question of Ayeka. And he was very impressed by the fact that the Alter Rebbe knew his exact age, and also about this answer. So Ayeka is a question that we can also ask ourselves. Where are we in life? And this is not a question to upset us. On the contrary, we can be Ayeka. Now there's a great war happening now, right? So we can ask ourselves, why aren't we in the front line? If not the front line of fighting, at least the front line of the decision making. We should be in the war cabinet, making the decisions, because we know what's best to do. Is that a realistic Ayeka? Not at all. Is that something we should feel upset that we're not there? No. If we are able to fulfill our part of the day in Ayeka, which means the people that we come in touch with, the study a bit in a day, daven a bit in a day, all of these things, these very small and basic things that seem to us small, but that fulfills your personal Ayeka, your personal potential. And that's it. We don't need anything else. Hashem's not looking for anything else. We already said previously in Tanya that a person that overestimates himself to be a righteous man, a tzaddik, and therefore to try and elevate thoughts that are negative thoughts, Well, in that case, the Alter Rebbe says it's a terrible thing, because not only you won't elevate the thoughts will pull you down. And this is also in the same case when we think about, why am I not a professor in a Hebrew university or the Japanese prime minister? So if this is what's bothering me, I'm going to feel depressed all day, for sure, because I'm not successful. But that's not the test. That's not your scale. That's not your potential. Your potential, each and everyone knows his potential according to what he is good at and according to where he's positioned in life. And that is what Hashem wants from you. And this is why it's so important to connect Hashem to the story, because if you don't connect Hashem to the story, you're just a product of evolution. So you must be very frustrated with evolution that placed you as a kid in Africa instead of a kid in the United States. And therefore you feel very upset, yes. And why am I not that kid in the United States? But if you know that Hashem placed you there, all the questions disappear. Because there's a mission that He wants you there for. And that's why it's so important for Him. And when you are, even if it's in Africa, whatever it is, successful in your small world, you can create a greater impact than the kid in the United States that perhaps is not fulfilling his mission. But again, we don't judge him, as the Alter Rebbe told us, that we do not judge anyone because he has a different mission. Yes, Ephraim.
Rabbi, sometimes it takes a person a lifetime to realize what his potential is. Until he gets to that point he just mentioned. He might be 90. And then he understands, this is my potential. It dawns on him, this is my potential. But he, at that age, I mean, he's already accumulated a lot of Rechavia, all that, to battle to accomplish that potential at 90. Right. So how does he then go about getting to all that?
So there are two things to this idea, to this question. First of all, it's leaving behind whatever happened in the past. We have a thing that is called shichacha, forgetness, right? People forget. That is a kindness that Hashem gave to us. Because imagine if a person would not forget, so maybe there are good sides to that as well, but there are also many, many bad sides to remembering everything that happened in life. The power of forgetting is that, okay, we can leave the past in the past. So that's, first of all, it's a person that reached a certain age and only now he's starting to say, you know what, this is my potential. So first of all, let's leave whatever happened in the past, let's leave that to go. And second of all, is that now with the potential that I have to take it step by step. We shouldn't jump it. We can't say, you know, the potential of me at the age of 28 is the same potential of 20. No. When you picture your potential, picture it according to your status of life now. Not to what I imagine I could have been 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 10 years ago. Right? That's it. Every time we've got to remember, according to Hasidus, every second, every minute is isolated. Question is about here and now, not about the past, not about the future. Every moment is isolated. We do build on our history. So you're right, there is the evil inclination that developed throughout the times. And that's why, yes, besides, for example, why is Rabbi Akiva known as the greatest Baal Tshuva? It's because he made a major change in his life at the age of 40. And that was quite a challenge. But also then, did he ask himself at the beginning, why doesn't he know all the Torah by heart? Or that should be his immediate goal? If he would think so, he would never become Rabbi Akiva. The Midrashim tell us that what Rabbi Akiva did was, he went into kindergarten or grade 1 to learn the Aleph Beis. He started from Aleph Beis. So you can imagine him going back home after that day, learning Aleph Beis Gimel until the letter Yud. And if he would ask himself, well, why don't I know the Chumash? He wouldn't go back to school the next day. step by step. Let's continue a bit more inside. Ovadia, please read for us. This is the second paragraph here.
It is different, however, with him who goes but little to the marketplace, and he who remains in his house for a greater part of the day, or even if he spends the whole day in the market, but is possibly not so passionate by nature, for the evil inclination of all people is not the same. There is one whose nature, as is explained elsewhere.
Okay. Okay, so let's continue, yeah? Let's continue in truth.
In truth, however, even he, whose nature is extremely passionate, and whose livelihood obliges him to sit all day at the street corners, has no excuse whatever for his sins, and he is termed another evildoer, Rasha Gamor, because there is no dread of God before his eyes. For he should have controlled himself and restrained the impulse of his desire in his heart because of the fear of God who sees all actions, as has been explained above, for the mind has supremacy over the heart by nature.
So the Alter Rebbe brings another good, interesting point, and this has to do with perhaps an excuse that a person might have based on his Yetzer Hara. So we said, you cannot judge anyone else. Why can't I judge someone else for sinning? I know that he sinned. Why can't I judge him? Because he has a different Yetzer Hara. Perhaps if I would be in his position, I would do much worse. And if he would be in my position, he would do much better. So I cannot judge him.
He doesn't know you're not worse, though.
Sorry?
He doesn't necessarily know you're better. Not you. But I mean,
What do you mean by that?
The person who's inside can be just as evil as the person outside.
Right, that's also true. That's also true. And nevertheless, he still cannot, he cannot judge him. He doesn't know exactly what's going through that person.
No, but the person on the street corner shouldn't necessarily think, I wish I could be as holy as that guy. He doesn't know that either.
Right, because we said that each one has a different potential. There is, of course, and here this leads up to what the Alter Rebbe tells us now. So, is that also an excuse to the sinner? Can a sinner say, well, listen, I have this great Yetzer Hara. That guy over there, doesn't have the Yetzer Hara that I have. That's why it's easy for him to go and sit and learn all day in shul, or daven all day. So is that a good enough excuse? Can my Yetzer Hara also be an excuse to my behavior? Maybe based on what the Alter Rebbe is suggesting, that each one has a different Yetzer Hara. Not only that, but Makoimai, the place, the position in life, position in where the person lives, is the cause to his sin. So can I feel okay with that? The Alter Rebbe says no. It's not an excuse, because together with the challenge, you get the powers as well. Kol hagadol mechavero yitzro gadol mimeno, which means the greater you are, the greater Yetzer Hara you have, or the greater Yetzer Hara you have, the greater you really are. So it could be a person that, yes, he is a big sinner, but he should know that he has more powers than, let's take for example from our Parsha, Yaakov and Esav. It aligns beautifully with what Yitzchak wanted to do. Yitzchak went, and Yitzchak intended to give the blessings to who? Initially, to Esav. Why? Did he not? Okay, so he was born first, that's correct. Even though he sold his Bechorah. But didn't he know that Esav is a sinner? So the Midrashim say that Esav used to trick his father, but it's not so simple. After all, his father knew that he has that he's not the biggest tzaddik. They're definitely not like Yaakov, sitting in the tent Yaakov ishtam yoshev ohalim, sitting in a tent all day and learning. Why did Yitzchak, who wasn't Avram? Avram, we've got to remember, we'll speak about them soon towards the end of the shir. Avram was very open to everyone. Avram was prepared to give every single person that walked and stood on his front door, he was prepared to give him whatever he requested. Yitzchak wasn't that guy. Yitzchak was very restrained. Yitzchak was very in control. Yitzchak is known as the attribute of harshness, of gevura, restriction, which means if you're worth something, you will get it, but there are no free gifts. That is Yitzchak. So why is Yitzchak giving a free gift to Esau? Shouldn't he give the blessings to Yaakov, which is more obvious? So the truth is that Yitzchak, I don't know if he learned the Tanya here, but this is definitely connected to what Yitzchak did. Chassidus explains that Yitzchak knew that Esau has a high potential as well. Together with the high temptations, the strong temptations, together with that, Hashem makes sure that we actually get a set of tools to deal with those temptations. Powerful tools that we have, that no one else has. The biggest tzaddik doesn't even have those set of tools. Why? Because he doesn't need to deal with the same challenges. So yes, so what turns out over here is that the reason that Yitzchak wanted to give the blessings to Esau is because he was convinced that he would give him the blessings, and the blessings would turn him around and reveal his true potential, which was very, very high.
What made him convinced?
That's a good question. I think knowing that he would, that first of all he has a good potential, and second of all knowing that would solve us a lot of hard work that we do in exile. Because what we are doing in exile is we are doing the birur of Esau in a certain way. We are, what does it say? That Yaakov met Esau, they met together. That's in the next parsha. In 2 parshas time, Vayishlach. So in Vayishlach what happens is Esau meets up with Yaakov. They become friends once again. And Esau says, why don't I join you on the way, and I will protect you. So Yaakov said, no thanks. But what happened according to Chassidus is that Esau was referring to Yaakov, let's bring the Mashiach right now. Let me join you. Va'ani et nahala le'iti. I have to go with the children, I have to go with the kids. I have an entire family to carry and to make a whole journey with them, which is referring to the birurim of the exile. This is referring to the struggles and the challenges that we are going through today as well. We are fixing Esau, but it's a long journey. Esau wanted to speed things up. Yaakov says, no, va'ani et nahala le'iti. It's going to be a long, long process. We have to go from house to house, find the ammunition, find the tunnels, and destroy them. And after that, we can complete the victory. But it's not a quick process. So this all is within what the Alter Rebbe is telling us over here regarding our life mission. So there are two sides to this. There's the life mission of a person, plus there's explaining how Torah is real and we can feel humble in front of any person. Our life mission is dependent on our potential. Nothing else. Not someone else's potential, not my imaginary potential, not my wishful potential, but what I am in now, currently in my position, and that makes a person wholesome. When we speak about a wholesome person, which means he's completing, just do now what you need to do. Nothing else. Don't think about tomorrow. don't think about next year.
I saw your
Yeah.
your talk on YouTube.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thanks.
I enjoyed it.
Is this about Israel in war?
Yeah.
Israel in war. Great. Yeah. Baruch Hashem. It's thanks to Raya and Mordechai. It's catching fire, and yeah, this is not easy times, not easy days for all of Am Yisrael. And tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to have a podcast. It's going to be the first podcast that we're doing. So it's going to be live on Zoom. We have every Wednesday live Zoom. So instead of 2 classes, it's basically going to be more of a discussion about the situation, about how we're experiencing this in Yerushalayim, how we are, what is the message, what are the signs, and it'll also be on YouTube.
What makes something a podcast?
It's a good question. I think this is also a podcast as well. This is it's a different brand. It's to hopefully it gets more views that way. That's the goal. So we can because people want to know. People want to know. Let's continue. Let's see more in the words of Alter Rebbe. So we are up to right. It is indeed a great and fierce. It's going to be one shiur, but it's going to be a bit of a longer shiur today.
It is indeed a great and fierce struggle to break one's passion, which burns like a fiery flame through fear of God. It is like an actual test. Therefore, each person, according to his place and rank in the service of God, must weigh and examine his position as to whether he is serving God in a manner commensurate with the dimensions of such a fierce battle and test in the realm of your good. As for example, in the service of prayer with Kavanah, devotion, pouring out his soul before God with his entire strength, to the point of exhaustion of the soul, while waging war against his body and animal soul within it, which impede his devotion. A strenuous war to beat and grind them like dust, each day before the morning and evening prayer. Although during prayer he needs to exert himself with the exertion of the spirit and the flesh, as will be explained later at the. Must I continue?
Just 1 second. Yeah, let's continue one more.
Anyone who has not reached the standard of waging such strenuous war against his body has not yet measured up to the quality and dimension of the war waged by one's evil nature, which burns like a fiery flame. That be humbled and broken by dread of God.
Yeah, fair. So once again, here the Alter Rebbe says that yes, this is a fierce struggle, and because it's between me and my potential, I have to know that that things aren't also too easy, that things also aren't too simple, because the moment things are too easy and too simple, so in that case, it means that I'm not fighting my potential. Perhaps I'm practicing someone else's potential, but my potential, and what is the moment, because you've got to know where is your field, which means, and by the way, there are 2 ways that how does a person know what he has to fix in life? Why was he sent here? Some people say, and this is what was common previously, is the place that is most challenging for you, that is your field to fix. And it's true, there's some side to that as well. The Rebbe said, and this is a new approach that the Rebbe had, which is not something that is challenging, but something that applies to you, that appeals to you, that something that is even not easy, because we're not here, and we know that things that go easy don't last. If you have enough experience, you know that yes, we need to work hard, but work hard in the field that you recognize. And this is here what the Alter Rebbe is telling us. Let's see the next the next paragraph as well. These are all now, the Alter Rebbe is bringing us examples, right, of how a person should fight his Yetzer Hara, in what fields. Daniel, this is the last paragraph, chapter 30 on the first page. So too.
Yeah. So too in the matter of grace of the meals and all benedictions, whether those connected with the partaking of food or with the performance of precepts to be recited with kavana, so to say nothing of the kavana of precepts for their own sake. So too in the matter of one's occupation in the study of Torah, to learn much more than his innate or custom desire and inclination by virtue of a strenuous struggle with his body. For to study for action more than his wants, one is but a small tussle which neither parallels nor bears comparison with the war of one's evil impulse burning like fire. He spoke utterly wicked, Rasha Gamor, if he does not conquer his impulse, so that it be subdued and crushed before God.
Okay. Yeah, let's continue.
For what difference is there between the category of turn away from evil and that of do good? Both are the command of the Holy King, the one and only, blessed be He.
So too.
So too, with the other commandments, especially the matter involving money, as the service of charity, tzedakah, and the like.
Right, so here this is where we see that the challenging it means the better we are doing. If things are coming too easy, so that's a sign. If things are too easy, that's a sign that I'm in the wrong direction. Because why is it? Why do we need to work hard? And this is a fact that we know. Anyone in life knows that yes, you have to work hard. There are no shortcuts. The moment you see a shortcut, you know that there'll be a surprise at the end of it. But why is it like this? Because Hashem says, Adam la'amal yulad. We are here to fix the world. Like Yaakov Avinu says, it's a long journey. V'ani et nahalal iti. I've got to take the time, and it's going to take me time. So, in other words, even in our avodas Hashem, yes, it has to be a bit of a struggle. It is going to be a bit of a struggle, a bit of a challenge. And the example he speaks about is when it comes to the blessings, when it comes to the learning of the Torah, when it comes to davening, and when it comes to tzedakah, when it comes to giving charity. In that case, we know that it is a challenge. Okay, so we're going to stop here. There's just a few other examples that the Alter Rebbe speaks about. We're going to stop with the Tanya now. The Alter Rebbe speaks about the rabbis that they used to fast, even if they made a small mistake. Because compared to their potential, to their Yetzer Hara, they knew that this is a serious thing. That's why there was one that he said, even Avak Lashon Hara, he didn't even say Lashon Hara. But he was hinting to a Lashon Hara, right? In that case, he decided to fast to fix himself. Because that was his challenging avodah. All the rest is easy. And when it's not easy, when it's easy and it's not difficult, challenging, it means we're not moving, we're not developing our holy muscles, the muscles of the side of Kedusha. So this is the Tanya that we learned, chapter 30, very, very special chapter. I would like to speak briefly about the Parsha, about one specific story in the Parsha. And it has to do with the Limud Zchut. We spoke about it a bit yesterday in the Hebrew class. But one idea is, sorry. When we read through the Parsha, so a lot of things make sense. There's one thing that doesn't really make sense, and it's a story of the wells. In the times of Avraham, it says that Avraham lived in the land of the Plishtim, in Gerar. I'm not sure exactly where Gerar is today, but it's not far from Beersheba. It's within
Gaza Strip.
That's Gaza Strip. It's very interesting. I'm not sure if there's a direct link and connection between the Palestinians and the Plishtim. They sound very, very similar, and this is why why the Romans called the place Palestine. Perhaps it was connected to the word of Plishtim that lived there before. I know that a lot of the Palestinians that live today in the Gaza Strip, many of them are Arabs that came from Syria, are Arabs that came from Egypt,
No, they're
Turkey.
eternal residents.
Some of them are.
Some of them are not.
There is some, and then Yitzchak. What happens with Yitzchak is that also Yitzchak goes and he digs up these wells, and they go and twice they block the wells. The third time he's able to find, and they don't fight over that, and that is Beersheba. He calls it Beersheba. The city of Beersheba is called Beersheba. After that, the third one was Rechavot. Ki hirchiv Hashem lanu farinu ba'aretz. Probably it's connected to where the city of Rechavot is today, at least around that area. Then there's Beersheba. Sorry?
The Rechavot or Rechavos? In English, they actually put Rechavos.
Rechavos with the S. It's interesting. Ashkenazi pronunciation. And then there's Beersheba as well. Why does the Torah mention this? What is the message to the future generations bring up? Probably there were many other coincidences in the life of Yitzchak that for some reason aren't mentioned. And it says that in the times of Avram, by the way, when it speaks about Avram, it doesn't really speak about what happened there. It says, yes, that they blocked his wells, they covered them. But the difference between Avraham and Yitzchak is very important, because we see Yitzchak was very in control of what happened there. He wanted to know, he wanted to make sure that the wells actually have water, that they're not blocking them. Avram was much less in control. Avram did not really care, did not really mind about the result, about the outcome. And the difference is within their personalities. The difference is within who they are. Because we know that Avram was simply a kind person. He was very kind. He accepted everyone. It says that he was Av Hamon Goyim Netaticha. You are the father to many, many nations. He accepted all of them. He even wanted Yishmael to live a good life. And that's why Hashem gave him a blessing, that he would actually live a good life, be very, very fruitful. Avram accepted everyone into his tent, provided them with food, with water, with drinks, whatever they needed. He did not question them, he did not challenge them, he did not say, you can come in and you can't. Yitzchak, on the other hand, is known to be midat hagvura, harsh or strict. And we see this in the story of the wells. Avram was there to dig, to provide, to give. If someone else wants to come and take control or to block the wells, Avram didn't mind. He did his mission in providing. That is the nature of a person that is kind. He wants to give. He doesn't always think about the outcome. It's like a father that wants to be very, very kind, and he gives his children candy, treats, sweets, and at the end of the day, this is very, very, unfortunately, this can be dangerous even for the child. On the other hand, Yitzchak was much more responsible. He was restricted. Yitzchak Avinu wanted to make sure that no, there's no such a thing that I just dig and there's no result. Yitzchak is Avram in Chassidus is known as Hamshacha, withdraw the plenty, the light, and Yitzchak was Ha'ala'ah, which means to uplift. Uplift means working from the bottom to the top and making sure that there's a real effect on the people there, on the wells, that there's water. And I'll end with this. Esav kept Torah and mitzvahs. Until what age? The Midrash says 13. Right. What happened when Esav was 13? Avram died. And that's the coincidence of Esav selling his Bechorah was that during the Shiva, on the day that Avram died. He comes back very upset, all hungry, and Yaakov's there boiling adashim. What he had there was
Mourner's food.
exactly mourner's food, round. Why? In a house of a mourner, it's known that they eat an egg. Why do they eat an egg? To show that life is round. It's a beginning, that there's an end, and that we will return at the end. Esav is prepared to sell his Bechorah to Yaakov. But what's most interesting is that Esav was a good boy until then, until his grandfather died. Why? Because under the influence of Avram influenced him to keep Torah and mitzvahs. But that did not last. The day after he passed away, the day that he was not under the direct influence and the direct light of Avram, that moment, nothing, the wells were blocked. And the whole idea, why does it speak about wells? Because wells, the moment you properly dig and you get to the spring, it never ends. It will always be there. You can go to wells that are 1,000 years, that they're there. There's a ma'ayan. It's never going to disappear. It's never going to go away. So what we can learn from our forefathers, specifically from Abraham, is that yes, the attribute of kindness is very important, but it has to come with restraint. It has to come also with a bit of gevurah. Yeshar koach. Thank you very much. Yes, Yaakov.
Previous part of the shiur.
Yeah.
It's about being humble.
Right.
And put yourself in other people's shoes. So when you say Ochiach tocheach et amitecha, it doesn't refer only to a specific mitzvah.
Right.
It might also refer to what we were speaking about, the offering of a person, the character of the person.
Right.
How can you put together Ochiach tocheach et amitecha if you don't put yourself in the shoes of the other one?
Right. So it's a very good question, because there is a mitzvah to basically, what's the word in English of hochacha? There's a nice word for it. To teach.
English is not my mother tongue.
Okay.
Reproof.
I think reproach, repute, rebuke. Sorry, rebuke. That was the word I was looking for. So there are two sides to rebuking. There's a rebuke with judging, and there's without. And there's a difference. Sometimes you can tell if someone's judging you or not. Someone can come to you and you were davening, you were talking in the middle of davening, and he says it so nicely. He says, I'm davening, it's a bit... You see that he's not judging. He wouldn't mind you continue, or he does mind, but for your sake.
So, even if it is for your sake, he's not putting himself in the shoes of the other one.
He's not maybe technically putting himself in the same position as the other person, because perhaps he cannot. He's not the other person. He does, and that's why we don't judge.
If he's humble, he's shut.
There's a technical side of hochacha, which means it's like if you see danger in the street, you tell a person, stay away from it, without going into the problem of judging a person. Is that you sometimes think that you are in his position. You think that you have some kind of authorization to go and judge him. That is the problem. There's no problem telling a person, listen, this is not how you should do it. It's okay. The problem is when you take control over the situation, you say, I know better than you. I am better than you. But you can do hochacha even without that side of I know better than you. It's without involving your ego. When does a thing, and this was connected also to the story of Noach being naked, and Ham watching him naked without just covering him directly. And the Rebbe says, the Torah says, that's why Ham was cursed. The Rebbe says, why?
No, of course.
Sorry?
His grandson was
His grandson, right. Canaan. That's why they were cursed, and the generations after. Why? The Rebbe says why. Also, Shem and Yefes knew that he's naked. There's a difference if you make a story out of it. That by witnessing it, by looking at him in this position, he was judging him, was causing a story. That's the difference. Yes, we can tell others the correct way of behaving, and the Torah wants us to do it, but it has to be in a way that we don't judge, which means we don't make a whole story about it. Oh, you won't believe it, I saw this guy doing this. And the moment it gets to that type of discussion, that means that it's not for the sake of his benefit, and then yes, you don't know his position, you cannot judge him. But avoiding someone from the street, telling him you should come off the street, it's not judging, even though he might have a good reason to be on the street, and he'll explain to you why. But if you do it in such a way,
exactly. If you have a good reason to be in the middle of the street,
yeah,
what do you mix yourself? You don't know the reasons.
right. But out of his job of doing, which is to try and help the other, he's good.
It's the same story of the man who's going to McDonald's, and he's going there just to make pee and not
Yes.
to buy
Right.
a new. Okay.
I think there's a slight difference between the two, right? So again, it depends. Also, that's legitimate to tell a person, did you notice that it's kosher or not kosher? We should, if we really care. Judging him is saying, oh, you won't believe it. How can you go into McDonald's? Or what sandwich did you eat? Was it delicious? Was it tasty? That's already climbing into a person, not helping him or directing him.
Not far from here, you can have a cheeseburger kosher.
Kosher. And what about, is there Maris Ayin? That's a question. Is there a Maris Ayin over there?
It's well known.
Well known already, that's it.
Where is that?
So, yeah. I think that with time it will be
It's not far
easier.
from
Shkoyach.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank